This is Sarah Duncan interviewing Rick Kelly for the Sandy Creek Park Oral History Project of the Russell Library. This is July 24th, 2005, and we're at the Sandy Creek Park Visitor Center in Athens, Georgia. Okay, and why don't we start off? Why don't you just tell me a little bit about yourself?
My name is Rick Kelly. I'm the facility supervisor at Sandy Creek Park. Started in February 1, 2005. I first started working at Sandy Creek Park in, I think, 1987, spring of 87, or as a special services coordinator, it was called at that time. I worked for Kent Kilpatrick, who was a facility supervisor, and was doing the job we would call the program specialist today. And did that for about a year, and then I became the maintenance superintendent for the county parks department. And my office was at Sandy Creek Park. As a small department, this was one of the main places we worked for till 1996, when I was the Park Services Administrator for the Combined Arts and Environmental Education Department, which is what the Clarke County Parks Department became, and the City Recreation and Parks Department, City of Athens. Some of the early work at Sandy Creek Park I was involved in was finishing the fence line around the park and building the swimming deer trail, working, Cook's Trail is joined Sandy Creek Park. It's not part of that. Was involved in that. And I guess as far as the recreation project, the main things I finished up were the trail and the fence line around the park on the eastern side.
That was as program specialist?
No, as maintenance superintendent.
As maintenance superintendent.
The special services coordinator, my main duties were basically facility supervisor in the absence of the facility supervisor, and ran the concessions program for the parks. At that time, we had Coke machines that we kept filled, and we had a concession stand that operated in the community building. And I started the paddle boat rental operation here. The work I did on the fence line and the trail was as the maintenance superintendent.
Okay.
I think it was called assistant director for maintenance.
Okay, so that was in the 90s.
Yeah, 88, 89 to 96.
Okay. So you were with the park through the merger?
Yes.
Of the governments. What kind of educational background do you have?
I have a bachelor's degree in business administration. I have a major in accounting, although I've never worked in the field. And I have about 45 hours toward a master's degree in education. And I taught business ed for a while.
How did you go from business administration and accounting to parks?
I don't know. It's something I was always interested in. As a matter of fact, when I was going to school, I tried to switch to the forestry school, but I've lost so many credits that it just wasn't worth it. I would have been like starting over after over 2 years.
Yeah.
I always just had an interest in outdoor recreation. Those my hobbies were hiking and fishing and camping and horseback riding and canoeing, all the things we do here. When the job came open, I was working for the county as a grounds superintendent, and just applied for it and got it.
Huh. Are you from this area?
I'm from Northwest Georgia,
Okay.
Cartersville,
Okay.
but I've lived around Athens since pretty much 1970. I came to school in 1970, and since then I've pretty much stayed around Athens.
All right. What kinds of maintenance work was done when you first started as maintenance supervisor?
Well, of course, all the routine duties were, every day litter pickup, cleaning all the facilities every day, mowing the grass, just the whole gamut of grounds maintenance, mowing the grass, mulching trees, planting trees. A lot of the trees around the circle we planted.
No. Yeah.
And then cleaning the shelters daily, cleaning the pads, cleaning the tables, emptying the trash cans. And the beach required us a lot of maintenance. We have to clean up the beach every morning and drag it with a four-wheeler. We pull a drag mat over the beach with a four-wheeler to make it look nice and fresh and clean every day. And pick up goose feces off the beach and litter, a lot of litter. And then also the ongoing just painting, electrical repairs, carpentry repairs, major building projects we did. We built the boat storage area. We built all the dog parks. There's a lot of fencing.
When were those put in?
I'm going to guess around 1990 we started, something like that.
Okay, yeah.
I remember I always telling everybody I thought it was the stupidest thing I ever heard of, but they're really popular. They're really, really popular with us. I think Nancy Smith had the idea. She saw an article from in California they had dog parks, and she encouraged us to try one. And got 4 now. Plus we have in some of our other parks.
Has maintenance changed over time at all?
Trying to think. Well, for this park, or for not the one thing that you mean the quality, the things you do?
Both, I suppose.
I guess the things we do are pretty much the same.
Okay.
Things get more. This facility is about the same as it's always been. Now, some of our other facilities, everything gets more complicated, like the computerized HVAC systems, and at all our newer facilities have just more technologically complex stuff. Nothing's much changed here as far as that. But like the Linden House, when it was renovated, it's got a computerized HVAC system that you can control from home, over the internet. And some of our other facilities that have major renovations, some of our newer facilities have that. Sandy Creek Park is pretty much the same. The buildings are the same as they've always been. The quantity of maintenance services has declined greatly over the years, just due to the fact that as we've merged with the City Rec and Parks Department, and we have more and more facilities to maintain, and the maintenance staff has not increased any at all, basically, but definitely not. It hasn't. I don't think it's increased at all since 1991. We've had to take on all these new facilities, so the quantity. We used to have crews that would be here all day and never do anything but work here, and now we get a crew that comes in once a day and cleans up and leaves.
Oh, really?
Our park assistants and our natural resources division staff have taken up the slack in that area. We do more than we ever had to do in the past. In the past, it was all the maintenance division's responsibility. On a busy weekend, and in summer, you'd have 2 maintenance workers here all day long, plus some community service workers.
Why is that?
Well, just there's not enough. Well, there's just more to take care of now than there used to be. Philosophy's changed over the years. We were a smaller department, a smaller number of employees. I think our total department was like 20, 25 people at the time.
When you started?
Yeah. Or less than that when I started. But just different philosophies. Our philosophy at that time was that maintenance workers worked on the weekend. And now we don't get as much as we used to.
Oh, yeah. I guess this is kind of maybe a hard question to answer because I know you have maintenance staff from outside the park that comes in, and then you have people here.
Well, I used to be their supervisor, so I can answer.
Okay.
That was before I came here. I was a maintenance staff supervisor.
Okay. Well, I was just going to ask about how many people would you say, in a day, maintain the park and
this park? Well, just the routine maintenance. One man and 2 inmates come through and clean the buildings and the bathrooms. parks, and then our park assistants, like this morning, me and one of the park assistants cleaned the beach, picked up the litter and do stuff on the beach and drug the beach and emptied some trash cans. On a Saturday or Sunday, we'll have one maintenance worker and some community service workers that are assigned. They'll work here till about noon, just cleaning up and getting it ready for the day, and then they're go to two other parks to pick up litter and clean up litter.
Community service workers, do you mean people who have...
DUIs or people that have to, it's community, court-ordered
Yeah.
community service. Typically would be like a DUI or something. I started the community service program out here years ago, probably around 1990, and I think we've really done a good job at that. We have the advantage of being able to provide weekend work. These guys, most of them work Monday through Friday. So over the years we've always, you never know if 3 are going to show up or none or 10. but the word is out that we're a pretty good work site for weekend work, and so we do get a lot of benefit from that. Chester today, he's got 3 community service workers with him today,
And
going around cleaning up the park.
so that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, how dependable is that?
Well, when they show up, they're great. They're not. They typically have about 40 hours, and they'll come, and they like to work here, like I said, because they can. A lot of sites it's busy work, and they give them 2 or 3 hours a day. We can give them 8 hours a day, and on weekends, so if they work, they don't have to miss work. And it's genuine work that needs to be done. They just go right along with the maintenance crews, mopping floors, picking up litter. But back to the that was for like the routine maintenance.
Yeah.
Grass mowing, we have a Park Services sends out a 2-man crew and a couple of inmates to mow grass. Monday through Friday, grass gets mowed once a week by those guys. And any other requests, we submit work requests for, like if a room needs painting, or if a door closer's broken, or HVAC system's down, or you need a new air conditioner or whatever. We send in work requests for that. And ongoing big ticket items, we have a capital improvement program. I think now it's up to about $300,000 a year that can be used for like paving projects and big fencing projects.
Is that just for Sandy Creek?
No, we ask for the whole department.
Okay.
We have to fight for a share of $300,000, and it's hard to fight against, like indoor facilities that recreation or athletic type facilities take a lot more dollars than we do.
Why
Well, just like maintaining gym floors and just indoor facilities cost more to maintain. Expensive roofing systems and HVAC systems and lighting and theater lighting and all those things are gym floors are several thousand to redo them every year. It's just the nature of the beast that it costs more to maintain them.
Yeah.
We have pretty simple roofs and pretty simple systems, and nothing that takes a lot of dollars.
What about the maintenance of sort of the natural areas of the park? What are you doing there? If you're able to
Trail maintenance, we get very little help with trail maintenance. Volunteers do a lot of the trail maintenance, clear cutting and trails, and they don't really require a lot of maintenance. We have a Boy Scout that just renovated a half mile of the Swimming Deer Trail, and but natural area maintenance is a lot mainly done by the Natural Resource Division staff and volunteers with some help from Park Services. But it's just, they're so stretched so thin, and the big upfront areas like ball fields and everything have to be done, and natural areas don't require a lot of maintenance either.
Yeah. I was thinking also about what about the plantings in those areas?
The plantings are done by our staff.
Okay.
They're maintained by our staff. It's a Phyllis's project.
Okay.
she does it.
How about the lake itself?
It's self-maintaining, I guess.
Okay.
We don't do anything to it. It's a natural body of water that sometimes gets yucky and mossy and green and slimy, but
Yeah.
there's nothing, we don't do anything to the lake.
Okay.
Nice flood will take care of it.
That's good.
Yeah.
I asked because actually Nancy had mentioned that in the early days of that like they did need to occasionally, they had a fish kill one time and they had to clean up all the fish and do things.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
now if we had a fish kill, we would have to do that.
Yeah.
And I know we did buy some grass carp,
Mm-hmm.
1,500 grass carp, because to keep the grass, they had a lot of algae and a lot of grass growing to keep the grass down.
Yeah.
And I don't know if those have all died off now. We hardly ever see them anymore. We used to see them occasionally.
Huh.
The grass, they get big. But they were triploid, so they couldn't reproduce. They're
Oh,
not a native. They're from China, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably one of those things that would take over. If
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I guess it sounds like the staff size, it's not so much that the staff size here has decreased, it's more the amount of staff coming in from maintenance.
Yeah, because and also the staff here has decreased.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking we lost 2 positions at this park, a secretary and a outdoor rec division administrator. Those are now internal services division. And also the maintenance staff we used to have a maintenance staff used to be stationed here, and now they all report to a central facility.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So there are a lot fewer people here than used to be.
The positions that are left, what are sort of the position titles
For this park,
Mm-hmm.
we have a facility supervisor,
Mm-hmm.
program specialist, and a rec assistant, which is basically secretary gatekeeper.
Okay.
They changed the title to rec assistant but to reflect more of the diversity of the duties. And then we have 2 permanent part-time park assistants and 2 seasonal part-time park assistants and 1 boat room person for the 16-week summer season.
Okay. So there are basically 3 full-time
3 full-time,
jobs,
yeah.
and then 2 part-time, and then 2 summer,
Uh-huh.
or 3 summer.
Yeah,
whatever, right?
2 permanent part-time and 2 seasonal.
Okay. Do you know what the staff was like? I guess when you were maintenance supervisor here.
The staff of the facility.
Yeah. I've seen it.
Okay, in this office we had there was an outdoor rec division administrator, which was like a division administrator or assistant director for recreation or something.
Mm-hmm.
We had a program specialist,
Mm-hmm.
a secretary, and a gatekeeper. Those were all full-time employees. I think there were, I'm trying to think of the other, there were 5. Oh, there was a special services coordinator. I think when it's full as that was Kent, John was the program specialist, Mike Hyatt was the special services coordinator, which is what became the program specialist, a full-time secretary and a full-time gatekeeper. So those were 5 positions. Now we have 2. And I'm not sure about the part-time. I know there were some part-time gatekeepers, but 2 permanent part-time gatekeepers,
Okay.
and then a lot of the park assistant duties were handled by the maintenance staff. It was more that, because at the time of the county parks department was such a small department, that the maintenance staff worked hand in glove with the rec staff. I mean, opening gates and unlocking buildings for people.
Okay. How do you keep the gate covered? I mean, you mentioned you've got 3 full-time people, 2 part-time people. That gate is open.
14 hours a day in the summer. Well, it takes, we're open 6 days a week, 14 hours a day, 7 to 9. And we have our standard is a minimum of 2 people on duty at all times. So basically, I get a lot more than 40 hours a week usually.
Yeah, I imagine.
I have been, but it just barely works out the math. You have two people work like 7 to 4, and 2 people work 4 to 9.
Okay.
That's generally it. And then on weekends we have more than that. Try to have 3 people each shift on weekends.
What else does the permanent staff here do other than maintenance and
Well, the maintenance is not really part of our duties.
Yeah,
it's just if we want the park to look nice, we wind up doing it.
Yeah.
Well, of course, the rec assistant, her mainly gatekeeping is the biggest duty, but she's also the secretary for the division.
Okay.
So she keeps the budget and does secretarial duties. The program specialist, he's in charge of developing and giving programs for the park. Facility supervisor, gosh, I don't know what my duties are. Long range planning, administration of the park, spending the money, gatekeeping. I do a lot of we all have to do work at the gatehouse some, and a lot of our time is just being out there visible and watching for violations. And I do Venus, our program specialist, we both do facility inspections and reporting things we find to the Park Services Division. During this, we have a 6-week summer day camp, and I'm in charge of that for the park. I don't know. We do everything.
Do you have any kind of security staff that ever comes in? Or?
On Saturday, we don't have security staff. We used to have at one time, but right now we have contract labor. We hire Athens-Clarke County policemen off duty to work about like noon to 6 on weekends and holidays during the summer.
I see.
And they're real effective. It's a lot different when they see a police car, down there at the beach. Nobody. We don't have. We don't have a lot of security concerns. It's the kind of we get a family crowd, and there's usually pretty good. There's not a lot.
Yeah.
There's the occasional drunk, or there's just not a lot of problems.
Yeah.
The potential is there, of course, but there's not a lot of stuff going on.
Do you have lifeguards every time?
We have no lifeguards. We had lifeguards, and I think about 1991 we had a drowning at the beach with like 4 or 5 lifeguards on duty.
Really?
And at that time, we closed the beach. The county commission closed the beach. I know you may have seen some of that correspondence between the commissioners. To reopen the beach, we dropped the lake level down about 10 feet, opened the floodgates, or the flow through the gates, not really floodgates, but opened the bottom gate on the spillway, on the dam riser. Lowered the lake about 10 feet and regraded the beach so that it had a 5% slope instead of an 8% slope and a maximum depth of 5 feet. We put up posts and rope and defined a swimming area, and there was no water over 5 feet deep, and reopened it. I guess it was closed about a year.
Wow. Then before that, it had been much
Before that, it had a slope of 8 degrees. It was steeper and deeper. We had a stationary dock with a diving board out on it, and it was like 13 feet deep off the backside of the floating dock. And when we reopened it, we went by the state park standards for state park beaches, and I'm not an expert on liability or anything, but the way I understand it was that we were better off as far as our liability if we had swim at your own risk and did not provide lifeguards.
Oh, really?
Because they were the sort of the, it seemed like you might be protected and people would be less wary, and you know, but actually lifeguards, what I understand, in a natural body of water, you know, somebody could slip under you if you can't see them. It's not like a pool where you can see the bottom and everything. It would be real hard to protect people even with lifeguards.
Yeah. You have mentioned before that people trying to swim across the lake is.
Oh yeah, it's every weekend when it's crowded, it's somebody just tries to swim across the lake, or I mean that kind of thing, swimming out. And it's usually like teenage guys, and or a younger young man. I mean, you can't. Like I told one guy last weekend, he said, "Oh, you don't need to worry about me. I'm an expert swimmer." But you know, we don't know that.
Yeah.
You know, you're sitting there, you see somebody out in the middle of the lake swimming. We typically go get them and make them get on the boat and bring them back and make them leave.
So you go out in a boat, and have you ever had anyone you wouldn't get in the boat?
Nope.
That's good.
I've only done it 3 times.
Right.
But if they don't, I'm not going to drag them in there. So, okay, buddy, when you get back, leave.
Yeah. What areas of the park get the most attention? I guess by that I mostly mean like maintenance attention, but.
Well, of course, the grounds, there's so much grass to be mowed. Grass mowing gets a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Okay, all the facilities get cleaned at least once a day, so they get a lot of attention. The rental facilities especially. And I guess the beach, this time of year, it takes a lot of, it takes us a couple hours. Oh, maybe an hour for 2 people. 2 man hours every day just getting it up, cleaned up, and ready to open.
That's
always a lot. Like this morning there was a lot of goose crap and a lot of litter. So we had to pick that all up and then drag it with a drag mat. And I think we were through by 8:30.
Okay. So you come in the morning a little before
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I come in at 7. So we start on it at 7. And there's usually, sometimes we have swimmers that early, but not people laying on the beach.
Yeah. I see.
Unless the people swimming laps that time of day.
Yeah. Huh. You mentioned that you mostly get a family crowd. What kind of users do you see from day to day?
Excuse me.
That's right.
Well, like a lot of black families do family reunions out here. It's a real popular site for family reunions. The pavilion and the community building. And so we have a lot of black family reunions. I mean, it's about almost every weekend in the summer. Our campers are usually like family groups, although we don't get a lot of campers. And then company picnics. We get a lot of company picnics for the rentals, and everybody knows we have a no alcohol policy, so we don't attract people that want to. You know, a lot of church picnics, church groups will rent one of our facilities for a family reunion, not a family reunion, but a church function. Then the beach crowd is you get a lot of families, but you also get a lot of teenagers or young adults come to from nearby, come to the beach. And we get just a large number of Latino customers. They will typically gather, and they'll come late in the afternoon. I don't know why. Somebody told me it was because after the flea market closes. But you'll see 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, they'll start arriving in big groups. And I guess the word is out that we're going to meet there for something. And they're not a rental facility, but meet in a certain area of the park and have family picnics, family gatherings, a lot of children and, married couples and children. And then we have sort of 2. And in the morning we have a lot of people that come just to ride their bikes or jog or walk every morning. And then dog owners. We have some real people that bring their dogs every day.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them just, but I guess that's everything we think of.
Yeah. Do you find that, are your users more from inside Athens or from the surrounding counties or some of each?
We don't get a lot of fraternity sorority types out here. We get more of a redneck country crowd. But I think we have our fishermen and beach users, and I think they come from Madison, Jackson County.
Mm-hmm.
We border Jackson County. We're right in Jackson County. A lot of them come from right around here. I don't know about. We don't attract a lot of the tennis crowd or the country club set or anything like that. Not that there aren't a few, but definitely not an affluent
Mm-hmm.
crowd on a day-to-day basis. Our regulars are less affluent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you find you actually sort of answered this question, but do you find that you get different types of users in different parts of the park?
Oh yeah, like I said, the beach is like the beach is a sort of a a different crowd than and then the walkers and hikers in the morning. It's just a different group.
Mm-hmm.
Fishermen are pretty much a wide spectrum of society. I mean, you get some guys with nice boats and some people with cane pole that fish on the bank. Just a wide. And then the dog park people. Some of them are pretty affluent, but they're dog. They come out here to walk their dogs.
About how many users would you get per day? And I realize this is going to be a very different number on the weekends than during the week.
And during summer and during the spring. A busy Sunday. Let me see. On the last Sunday we made 22. We might have 800 or 900 people paying. We made $2,200 last Sunday, and it was like $2 at a pop.
Yeah.
Almost all of it was from entry fees.
Yeah.
And maybe 200 or 300 on a pretty weekday during the summer. To a winter day, almost nobody during the week. Yeah.
Huh.
I did some figure the other day. We made $4,700 for the period of Thanksgiving through New Year's last year. So December was pretty dead.
Yeah.
Because we're closed early in the day. And that's when you'll get your regulars that they come in and walk every day and they come and do things like that. Of course, there are not a lot of facility rentals or no family reunions or picnics that time of year.
How much use do the camping areas get?
Very, very little.
Huh.
I mean, if we could go back and look, get specifics, but I know on July 4th weekend, the biggest weekend we had was like maybe 10 sites rented, 10 or 12.
Out of how many sites?
23 sites, plus about 8 or 10 of the little shelters that never get used, the little, like little 4-man shelters.
Okay, yeah, those just sort of lean-to.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
We have our crow's nest. We have 2 crow's nests that do get a lot of use. They cost $50 a night, but they're used like by scout groups and church groups.
Yeah, those are those larger facilities.
2-story facilities, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But very, very little camping. And then what we do get is like a Memorial Day weekend, or there were like 3 campers last night, Saturday night, and there'll be some Saturdays we won't have any.
That's interesting.
Well, there's no power and no electricity, and a lot of people are like that. They can't drive to their site; they have to walk in. Can't even. So
Yeah, it's too rough.
Yeah, it's too rough, or not rough enough. It's depending on. But
Yeah.
I think yes, it's more roughing it than most people want to do.
Yeah. Actually, that's something I was going to ask. Are there bathroom facilities over right in that
Yes,
campground
there's,
area? Okay.
and some of the sites are real close to the bathrooms. Some of them are pretty far away.
Okay.
It's the bathrooms are at the entrance to the campsite facility,
For some reason, I think
campgrounds.
I hadn't noticed those on the original.
Nancy may have told you about our RV camper plans.
Mhm.
So she probably knows a lot more. That it didn't fly, but
Yeah.
that would have been a big campground improvement.
Huh. Is there ever discussion of it anymore? No.
Yeah, it's one of the things. Mike, my boss, has asked me to submit that as a capital improvement project for this year. Uh, so maybe it'll happen again.
Uh-huh.
You know, but people like to drive to the campsite, even if they're not staying in a $100,000 RV.
Yeah, I see.
You know, at least you can drive and not have to lug your stuff up and down that hill.
Yeah, I see. So there's a parking lot over there, though, right?
Yeah,
And then you
park
have
at
to-
the top of the hill,
But
but
then you have to walk.
you have to walk a pretty good ways.
I see. Yeah. Huh. What would you say is the area of the park that gets the most use?
Oh, by far the beach during the summer. The beach, then the community building and the pavilion. They're two areas that are our two largest rental facilities.
Is the community building? Is that the
Large building up above the beach with the stone
yeah,
fireplace.
with the sort of open
Mhm.
open building? Okay. And then the pavilion.
It's right. It's at the corner of Beech Tree Drive and Sandy Park
Okay.
Drive.
Okay.
It's on your left as you're going around the circle. You'll see it.
Okay. What about that barbecue?
The barbecue. Yeah, it's not as popular as the other two, but it is. It's renting a lot. I think the community building, everybody likes it because it's so close to the beach in the summer. The kids can. There's a playground right there, and it's close to the beach.
Yeah.
At one time, we did not rent the community building, but we had so many people requesting it. It was more of a general area. It has the showers in it,
Oh, I see. Okay.
and we had the concession stand in there too, so it was more open to the general public. You know, first come, first served basis.
Yeah. You mentioned concessions before. Do you have concessions now at all?
We contract them out,
Okay.
a lady, but we want to start doing them again ourselves.
Okay. Why is that?
Just think we can make more money and be. I think we could make more and having someone responsible to us, I think would be better.
Yeah. What about the ball fields? How much use do they get?
The ball fields do not get a whole lot of use. They're starting to get more. The UGA rugby club team plays on them, not regularly, but a lot. They can't have access to the intramural fields if they're too wet to play on because they have hybrid Bermuda grass. And yes, they use them a lot. Ultimate Frisbee comes out here and plays on the fields. We had in the spring this year, we had a couple of big tournaments, Ultimate Frisbee tournaments that other people organize and just use our fields. One of them was like co-ed, a lot of Southern colleges,
Yeah.
but they don't get a whole lot of use.
Huh.
They're not. You know, the grass is mowed at 3 inches once a week, and they're not maintained like the athletic fields. They're more for the idea is for a pickup game or family groups game. It's not league play, and it's not the kind of fields that serious ball players would want to use.
Yeah. Huh, that's interesting. Did you see that change at all when the new facilities opened? I mean, did use drop down, or
Oh no, you could.
it was just never?
No, it never. Matter of fact, the use has increased
Oh, really? Okay.
with the population increase of Athens and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
No, we don't have. We need. I mean, we need a lot more athletic fields. People they like to play on fields that are maintained for athletic play.
Yeah.
You know, hybrid Bermuda grass and cut infields, and you know,
Yeah.
everybody thinks they're, you know, Bart Starr, Mickey Mantle. They want.
It's gonna be pretty
Our little league guys. They're so hard to please. They want our ball fields looking like Turner Fields, you know. And but that's what they want to play on.
Huh. Have you seen the user population change over time?
No, except for the there's more Latinos moving to the area. That would be the big change I've seen. Seemed like too we get a lot more black visitors than we had when I first started here.
Oh, that's nice.
I think it was, but I don't. I may not. I may be imagining that. I can't remember, but we do a whole lot of family reunions, black family reunions.
Yeah.
And one group that started to use the park 2 or 3 times a year is quite interesting to me. They were formerly known as the Nuwabians, the Nuwabian Nation of Moors.
Huh.
Remember that guy, Malachi York, that had the property in Putnam County and was jailed for child molestation or whatever?
Huh.
You definitely need to do an internet search.
Uh-huh.
The United Nuwabian Nation of Moors.
How do you spell that? Do you know?
N-U-W Nuwabian. I can write N-U-W-A. I think there's like a U in there that you wouldn't think was in there. I think it's like that.
Okay.
United Nuwabian Nation of Moors. And you definitely need to look it up. They call themselves the Egyptian Church of Christ now.
Huh.
They were the followers of Malachi York,
Huh.
who came from Brooklyn to Georgia. It's about 462 acres in Putnam County. They started building Egyptian-style houses and little pyramids and everything, and it's I guess it was a cult. He had like a cult following, and now they call themselves the Egyptian Church of Christ. He has been jailed like for 142 counts of child molestation or something. Some of the testimony at the trial was a woman. She was 21 or 22 years old. Said that he had started having sex with her when she was 13 or 14.
Huh.
It's like ritual
Yeah.
deflowering of the virgins kind of thing, and she had 4 children by him, and she left there and left her children just to get out of there.
Yeah.
Rumors that he had fathered as many as 100 children.
Wow.
But anyway, he was jailed. Maybe you need to look it up. It's
Okay.
an amazing
I'll look
story.
into that.
But anyway, they
So
have started coming here
Huh.
2 or 3 times a year, and they'll have like 500 will show up. They'll rent a facility for a picnic, and I think that's a place to gather now that they've lost their property in Eatonton. And they'll be from all over the country. Most of them are all like affluent black people.
Huh.
They'll have nice cars, dressed really nice, and just the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. They're really, really nice people, just as friendly but I know they came here this spring, and they came in June 23rd, 24th, and 25th, or 24th, 25th, and 26th. And one of those days was Savior's Day, which was Mr. York's birthday.
Okay. So they come and just have a big picnic?
They'll rent the pavilion at the community building and have just a big gathering for like a church picnic.
Yeah, yeah.
Just kind of a weird church. I don't judge them or anything. Just
That's
something out of the ordinary.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting user group that I wouldn't have expected.
Yeah, and I guess, like I said, I know they came here. Like I said, they're really nice, but they come in large numbers.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of days this year where, like the day they rented the community building room for June 25th or 26th, whatever it was. It was a real nasty, rainy day, so there was nobody coming to the beach, or any of the park users, and there were probably 400 showed up.
Do you get a fair amount of groups like that attract kind of a national base? That sounds like.
Well, I think we're trying to think of any mainstream groups like that. I don't guess so. the Boy Scouts used the park a few times for like North Georgia Scouts, but it was the state of Georgia. There's an ROTC group that has an event here. High school ROTC. But I don't think, I wouldn't think, no, I don't think we attract anything else. That's just, I think because Mr. York's last residence was in Athens.
Oh, okay.
Before he went to the big house. So that may be why they're used this area.
Huh. That's interesting. What, I guess about what percentage would you say of your users come for big events, picnics and gatherings versus just kind of a family coming on the weekend? I mean, just a rough estimate.
Oh, it's probably over 50%.
Okay.
Because that's where you get, if like Bethlehem A Church had their thing yesterday, there were, probably as many people at that one event as there were in the rest of the park.
Yeah. Yeah, I ask it seems as though I've talked to a lot of people who've said, oh, yeah, I went to Sandy Creek once for an event or something like that. Did you notice the users or type of users change at all when the entrance fee rose?
I don't know. I don't think the amount decreased. The amount of visitors decreased. I don't think I wouldn't say the type of visitors decreased. One of the things, and now some of the guys, Phyllis or Venus or Bud, could give you a better answer on that because they were here. Bud, Nancy's brother, Bud Blunt's been the gatekeeper forever. He can probably give you more accurate answers to some of that type question than I could. And if he said something completely different than I told you, he's probably right.
Okay. All right. And this might be a better question for him too, but do you remember what was the reaction to the increase in the fee?
There was a lot of, and we're still getting, I thought it was $1. It was over 2 years ago. We're still getting that. Sold a lot more annual passes. It really boosted the annual pass sales because all of a sudden they became a lot more valuable because they stayed the same price with annual passes.
Yeah.
And I would say overall the reaction was negative, and some of our huge corporate events quit having some of our events that attract a lot of people because if they're paying, say you rent say, I don't know, one of the big Athens companies is going to have a company picnic. They rent the pavilion for $225, but if they've got 300 people coming, all of a sudden it's going to cost them an extra $300 if they wanted to pay entry fees for everybody.
Yeah, because each person still is going to have to pay. What? I guess you said that you made $2,200 last weekend, or was that?
Yeah, on a day, one day, on Sunday
in the summer. About how much money do you bring in?
About $180,000.
Okay. And where does that money go? Does it all go back into
Goes into the general fund.
Oh.
No, it goes into the general fund. And I don't know where it goes from there.
Okay.
It goes to reduce your property taxes.
Oh, so it doesn't even go back into the Parks Department?
No, it goes to the
really?
county general fund.
I didn't know that.
To reduce, basically, the government gets income from many sources to operate. Of course, the biggest one is property taxes, but any revenue they generate keeps property taxes down, and we're just a revenue, just like parking tickets or traffic, all the other user fees the government has, we go right in the same pot.
And does that includes all your fees here, not just the entry
Yes,
fee?
everything.
Okay. Has there ever been any talk of?
We were, for a few years when we first merged, we were called the Revenue Department, where, say, we had a $5 million budget, and the idea being that, say, it costs $5 million to run the Parks Department, Leisure Services Department, and we were bringing in $1 million, then our contribution from the government is $4 million from the general fund. But if we generated more than $1 million, we could increase our budget line. So if we were projected revenues of $1 million and brought in $1.5 million, we could use that $500,000 in our budget. But we never met our projected revenues. We were having to cover deficits, and after 2 or 3 years, we didn't. It was over my head, the decision and how it came about. But we were on a revenue department for a couple of years, and went back into the general fund.
And that was right after the merger.
Yeah, about 90, maybe 2 or 3 years, whatever. But
yeah.
We never could meet our revenue projections.
So when you said that 180,000 figure, is that just for entrance fees?
That's everything.
Oh, that's everything. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our projected revenues were $201,600.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking we were actually bringing in around 180.
Okay. Huh. So why was the fee increased?
I don't know. Just every year we have an opportunity to the commission has to approve all our fees, even our program fees.
Yeah.
So every year we have the opportunity to suggest, fees, because if we can generate more money, we can use that. When I said that the money doesn't go back into the department, that's not exactly true.
Okay.
If we say we wanted to have a program that costs $10,000 to operate, if we could bring in $10,000 of revenue to cover that program, we could use it directly for that.
Okay, I see.
But I really don't know why. I guess they just figured it was time. It had been $1 since 1981.
Yeah.
And it was just a couple of years ago, I guess 2003,
Yeah.
that they went up.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Let's see. Did you? Well, actually, this is kind of a different kind of question. What type of feedback do you get from users on the park, just in general, not just on the fees?
How we get it, we get. Generally, it's real positive. I think our people that come here really like it. One guy yesterday, I stopped to talk to one of these a retired couple that rides bicycles here every morning.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just talking about what a nice place it was and how it was always well maintained and always looked nice.
Mm-hmm.
But that's usually real good. But we'll get. A couple of weeks ago, this guy was fishing with a cast net, which is what you can legally you can use it for bait. Do you know what a cast net is?
Yeah.
It's like you throw it in the water.
Yeah.
I saw he was down there fishing by the boat rental thing with a cast net, and I asked him what he was catching, and he said bass and brim and anything. And anyway, I went and told him. For one thing, it's illegal to catch anything in the state of Georgia. The state fish and game laws, it's illegal to catch anything other than bait fish, like anything over. You can use it for minnows or anything under 5 inches. You can collect that way.
Yeah.
But our policy is hook and line only.
Yeah.
And I told him that he couldn't fish with a cast net here. Our policy was hook and line only. And he got all huffy and said, "Well, I'm never coming back here again." Yes. So people that we have disagreements with sometimes will get in your face.
Yeah.
But it's typically someone that you've had to reprimand for something, breaking the rules or.
Yeah. What kinds of sort of run-of-the-mill, pressures do you get? For example, I don't know. I'm just thinking, do you get complaints about not mowing the grass enough, or what kind of comes up the most often?
The people that have paid, not that we get a lot, but I think a typical one would be someone that expects a higher standard of cleanliness of the facility they've rented.
No.
They're wanting, it's not, a lot, and some people some people want more, I guess, than we provide.
Yeah. Actually, one more sort of user question. Did you see your users change at all when the Southeast Park opened up? On the other
The
end?
number of users? No.
Number or?
No, I don't think so. Of course, I wasn't here when it opened up, but I don't think so. I don't think it had much of an effect. Southeast-Clarke, and I was in on the building of that and designing of that. And it attracts a different, mainly attracts people closer to that community. Like the dog park over there, some dog owners really like the idea that they can let their dog run and play with other dogs. And that dog park is just open to anybody that wants to come in with no limits or no. And when some people really like that, and they'll seek out dog parks where they can let their dogs interact and play with other dogs. The people that come to our dog parks want their dogs to be alone and not with everybody else's dogs. And so the opening of the dog park didn't affect us, and it's just a more programmed athletics people that will go there. That's the skate course. I think they just offer different things than we offer.
Yeah. Actually, why don't we take a little break because it's been almost an hour.
Okay.
Okay. You mentioned that you worked for the Parks Department, but not specifically for Sandy Creek before the county merger, the city-county merger, and then after. Did you notice a lot of change?
Not at first. At first, when they didn't merge the Parks Departments. Okay. We stayed. A little bit of changes. We got the arts. The city had an arts division, City Parks Department, and we had one. But the cultural arts came with the county Parks Department. We became the Arts and Environmental Education Department, and to reflect more of our mission, because we were a totally different kinds of facilities. We had the Nature Center, which is environmental education. We had this park, which is outdoor recreation facilities. And the city parks was just almost wholly the traditional ball and bat recreation departments, rec centers, athletics, swimming pools, the traditional, and then we merged. But so in 91 we stayed basically two separate parks departments, and then in 96 we merged into the Department of Leisure Services, and the things we do here are pretty much the same. They haven't changed. One of the changes that everybody knew, and it's nothing to it, but like I talked about earlier, athletic swimming pools, athletic fields, gymnasiums, theaters, performing arts centers, they just take more dollars to operate and maintain than the type facilities we have here. So I think they get more of the budget dollars, but it takes more. And I think maybe with the maintenance staff we have having to be spread out over everything, they get probably a larger proportion of the man hours too, but not through any bad reason, just because it requires more. But that's probably, I guess, the biggest change.
But you'd say that I guess in the past, before the merger, or before 1996, the parks and the arts and the recreation city parks were completely separate.
Completely separate. Our maintenance people worked at here in the Nature Center and their maintenance people worked at their facilities.
But you did mention before, it sounded like the maintenance staff had gone down.
Well, it went down after the merger. And a little bit before, and it was as we got more facilities to maintain with, but the bulk of the new facilities were added after we became a leisure services department.
I see. Did you notice, and I don't know if you would have noticed this in your position, but did you notice any kind of change in political support for the parks or any of that?
I don't think so. I don't think so. The nature center. Well, no, I didn't notice any. I mean, it was the same people's. Still.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't notice any. But there may have been. I just didn't notice it. Yeah. I'm saying there wasn't any change. I didn't notice it.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, you might not have had to worry about it.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably just as well.
Mm-hmm.
How large a staff would really be ideal to run this park? I mean, what do you think it needs?
Well, the park exactly as it is right now. Gosh, I don't know. I hadn't thought of it, but we need like 2 dedicated maintenance workers every day. That just at least 2. I mean, on the 2 people. Maybe with 2 vehicles that are only their only duties are worrying about this park, maintaining this park. Are you talking about maintenance or just operations or everything?
Everything, yeah.
And then as far as we would need probably a 4-man crew just worrying about the grounds maintenance and the trail maintenance. So much stuff just gets left alone. I mean, at least a 4-man crew that's dedicated just to the grounds maintenance and the trail maintenance and 5 days a week. When I was talking about 2, I meant like on the weekends. We need a couple of guys on the weekends. Then probably the facility supervisor, and a secretary that didn't have to be a gatekeeper. Could just be the secretary for the department. Yeah. Maybe two gatekeepers at all. Enough gatekeepers so that there was always a person whose duty is gatekeeper. So that would be 2 gatekeepers, and then a couple of park assistants who would just be the gophers. Whatever, somebody to take care of whatever happens.
Yeah. Has the staff ever been quite that big since you've been
No.
here?
Well, maybe. It was close to that, probably around 1991 or 92. It was probably close to that.
Okay. Has the park changed physically since you've worked here? I guess what I mean is, has any land been added?
We bought the 80 acres next door, the Cook property that adjoins it, so it's gotten a little bigger. We've added the pavilion, which is the 240 capacity picnic shelter. But as far as, but we haven't added any land other than the Cook property acquisition.
Okay. And then you did mention that the beach has changed, and you talked about
the beach has been made larger. The first we redid it and graded it, but a couple of years ago, a Spelos project actually increased the size of the sand area, the above water area. Yeah. The below water area stayed the same, but we replaced a wooden beach wall with granite wall, and made the beach larger and changed the drainage around it so it's not washing away so much. Changed it, did some grading and slopes so the water went around the lake instead of washing all the sand off the beach.
Okay, I see.
The rainwater.
Yeah. Have you had problems with that?
Used to be a big problem every year because there's a steep hill that leads down to a drainage swell around the beach, but most of the water coming off that would go around the beach, but from that drainage swell to the beach was still a downslope, and water would wash away all the sand. We were continuously replacing sand at great expense.
Where did you get that sand from?
It comes from Roberta, Georgia. It has to be hauled in dump trucks. Obviously, they think the sand was about $6 a ton, and the hauling was $12 a ton. It was twice as much to get. And I don't know what it would be today with gasoline prices, diesel going up as much as it is, be a lot more. But the sand, it's that white. It's called washed white sand. So it's real pretty white sand. Yeah. The sand, local sand, is river sand is not the pretty white sand, but it came from there. And so we were, at one time, I mean, we were putting like $3,000 worth a year on the beach, replenishing it. And then we did some erosion control things that got it down to about $1,000 a year. But the latest, the Spelos project that built the granite wall and changed the elevations and slopes and everything has done real good. We need to add a little bit to top dress. We need to add a little bit, I think. What we have is not washing away anymore.
I see. That's good.
Yeah.
It seems like it would get tiresome. Were there any other kind of physical improvements or you know?
We haven't had a lot of big ticket physical improvements. We've had the ring road got paved and a parking lot got paved, but as far as, you know, ongoing re-roofing, shingle roofs and painting, but no real big budget capital improvements.
Okay. Yeah. Are any in the works?
Well, hopefully we've, like I said, I don't know where we sit, but nothing has been identified specifically. We wanted to get the visitor center building re-roofed and some paving and some electrical infrastructure repairs, but that's been promised. But nothing like total renovations or anything.
Yeah. If you could change something about this park, what would it be?
Doing away with entry fees and doing some other way. Maybe having a state park type fee station. A lot of our man hours are basically having somebody there collecting the dollars.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of, but do like the state parks have where you can
Just drop them off.
pay $2 to enter. Yeah, but that or either allow us to use any fees collected here. You know, if we whatever fees we collect here, spend them here.
Mm-hmm. What would you spend them on?
Just ongoing, paving. We've got just ongoing maintenance and repair. I mean, you can always said you can't have a place looking too nice. It can't be too clean or too well maintained. We've got, I guess the parks now will be 25 years old next year.
Mm-hmm.
Really got a lot of paving issues, and paving is very expensive. I mean, basically all our roads need to be repaved, all our service roads. I mean, just the paving that needed to be done in this park right now would bust the budget for the whole department, So we just do them, But I guess that's one thing I would do. Have a park rangers or some type of security staff, somebody with law enforcement capabilities on site, or more, maybe not on site all the time, but more available at times. Doing away with the swimming in the beach area only, probably lead to some drownings. I don't know. That's our biggest headache is it's a real small beach, and the water gets warm, and it's only generally less than 5 feet deep, and people want to swim out in the middle of the lake, and which they do at all the state parks. You dive. All the big lakes, Lake Lanier, Lake Hartwell. Yeah. If you want to jump off a houseboat into 5 feet of water, that's your business. and I don't know why we're different. I don't know if it's because we're a county organization, but we have real strict rules about that kind of thing. And then park staff is charged with enforcing them, and some of them are pretty petty or picky, and you get it. It's no fun.
Yeah. What do you think would happen? Of course, this is kind of pure speculation, but if there were a drowning today, what?
If there were a drowning today?
Yeah.
Well, there was almost one. There was almost one Friday.
Really? Friday,
I got a radio call. Asked if I was near the beach, and said there was a little girl. Somebody called 911 and said a little girl was not breathing.
Oh my gosh.
So I went down there to, I went down there to, all the time going over my CPR in my head thinking, but you know, there were 100 people, there were 50 people on the beach too.
Yeah.
When I got there, a big guy was holding the girl, she's a 4-year-old girl, and she had went and gone into the water to play with her older cousins, and I think went under. Her aunt grabbed her pretty quickly. And when they pulled her out of the water, she had a pulse, but she wasn't breathing. And this guy that was there, who was there with the school group, was an EMT. And he gave her 2 breaths, and she started breathing on her own. But she had water in her lungs, coughed up water. And I don't know how close she came to actually drowning, but if there was a drowning today, we would close the beach for some period of time. And I know last time we closed the beach and it was open until we reconfigured it to I don't know what would happen today. County, we may just close it. I don't know. It's very popular, you know. Especially our swimming pools are only open for a real short season.
Yeah.
Our beach is open from April, through October.
Huh.
So I guess it would eventually reopen, and but I don't know. I know it will close for some time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we'd ever get lifeguards back again or not, but like I said, they're proven to be ineffective. We may even not let little kids in here. I don't know what would happen, but
what kinds of wildlife do you see here?
of course, squirrels, coyotes, foxes. Never seen a bobcat. Deer, a lot of deer. Of course, blue herons, a lot of blue herons, and Canada geese and other waterfowl, wood ducks, mallards, osprey. Saw an osprey the other day. We used to have them here pretty regularly. I saw one here the other day, and I saw a couple in the spring. And beaver. I don't think. Sometimes occasional alligator that has been released. Really? There's a report of one in the lake right now. A guy that says he's sure he saw one. And we did have like about a 4-footer removed from here a few years ago. But like I said, they're not native deer. A lot of water snakes. That's about all I can think of, maybe.
How did those alligators get in the lake?
Somebody would have had to. You can buy them as pets somewhere, and it may have actually been a caiman, which are solar South American freshwater animals that can be. They're in the alligator family, but it may have been a caiman, but I think it was an alligator. I'm not sure, but somebody's pet that they turned loose. A reptile guy. The guy, the park assistant that works here is into raises reptiles, and he knows some other reptile people. He said he heard of one guy that said he was going to turn his pet loose here when he left school, so maybe that's that one. Yeah.
Have you ever had any issues with wildlife?
Not really. Like I said, today had to drag away a dead deer that was near the boat ramp, and that's like the 3rd time I've had to deal with dead deer that just needed to be hauled away or drug away. We had some raccoons one year. We got about like 5 or 6 in just a week's time, and everybody was afraid they were rabid. They had distemper, though, it turns out.
Oh, I see.
But the squirrels pulling trash out of the trash can and chewing up our buildings. That's probably the biggest wildlife problem. Beavers kill a lot of trees too, but we don't have an infestation of beavers. We don't have. There are some here, but they don't do a lot of damage. Yeah, I think they're like mostly up on the northern end, eating the smaller trees and where the lake is silting in. One of the changes you didn't ask about. One of the changes, the lake is really silting in a lot. There's an area called Wedding Rock where we had a trail crossing a granite outcropping, and the trail crossed a granite outcropping. And due from the silt buildup, the granite outcropping is now no longer possible. It's under a lot of silt, and Wedding Rock looks like it's under about 3 or 4 feet of silt. It was sort of it's where Nancy got married. That's how it got the name. But it was the shape of the rock was sort of like a bench, and or it has, just from when the water rushes in, it hits the lake, it slows down and silt drops. It's a natural phenomenon, but it has filled in a lot since it was built.
Do you think is that becoming a problem, or it's just kind of a...
Well, the lake is I don't know, it's not, the cure would be worse than the problem. The only way to stop it would be get in here with heavy equipment and dredging it. And I talked to some people that it would never get to the point where it's not usable as a recreation area. It's not going to get much worse than it is now. But it's like a natural, it's going to happen to a dammed up stream.
Have you seen any really unusual wildlife here? Anything that kind of, or not just wildlife, I suppose, even plant life, or just something that you looked at and thought, oh wow, that's neat.
There were some. Well, when I saw the first coyote here, I thought it was kind of strange. But now they're so common, they're not even unique anymore. Coyotes have only been here, I guess, haven't been here that long. Some really big deer. We see some really big bucks, real trophy bucks. Sometimes we get some migratory waterfowl that are unusual. Some loons or some things that are not commonly seen here. But I've never seen a bear. I've heard reports of bears here, but I've never seen one.
The black bears?
Yeah.
Has there ever been a survey of kind of the natural resource part of the park?
I think so. There was a survey like of
what's here?
not that I know of.
Okay. What
I'm sure there was a girl that was doing a thing. She was taking photos at night but this was for a West Nile study. She was a student, and she had a night camera that would a camera with a sensor that would take photographs of animals. The hunters use them.
Yeah.
She would put out dead birds and see what animals come to inspect them, or to see how West Nile might be spread by other animals. And she shows some photos. There were like deer sniffing it, coyotes, raccoons. Haven't seen any wild pigs here yet, or feral pigs, but I'm sure that will happen soon.
Really?
They're everywhere, not far from here.
Oh, I hadn't heard
They're all over the creek bottoms in Oglethorpe County.
Huh. Are those ones that escaped from swine farms or something?
Well, some of them have been released by hunters to hunt with dogs, and they just reproduce so much.
Yeah.
And some of them are, they're everything from genuine European wild boar to Poland, China, and all mixed in between.
Oh, wow.
They get real wild looking and pretty soon, and when they're not in captivity, and they reproduce a lot. I live near Long Creek in Oglethorpe County, and they're everywhere down there. We trapped 25 in our backyard and quit trying. We quit trying to trap them. It was just. But there, I keep wondering when we'll see the first ones here. I don't think it'll be too long.
Do you get any wild dogs ever?
Wild as in, nah. Loose dogs, but I wouldn't say wild dogs. No.
What about, do you have any problems with invasive species like kudzu or...
Kudzu, Elaeagnus, privet, or just all over this part of the world. But yeah, there are a lot of invasive. There's a lot of Elaeagnus and privet have become real common in the understory, shading out and crowding out your native understory. If you go, and I think it might be just from being so close to town because they're spread so easily by birds eating the seeds, both of those species. I know. If you go out further away from town, the forest understory is completely different looking than here.
Do you do any kind of maintenance to get rid of those things? Or are you able to?
We have in a few small areas, yeah. You spray them and dig them out or clean them up. We have removed them in some small areas.
Yeah. You mentioned volunteers before. How much work do you do with volunteers?
Some, not so much. They do a lot of trail maintenance work on the volunteers. One of my charges here is to increase the volunteer effort. But some, not as much as we could use, I guess. We have some horse groups that do horse trail maintenance on the horse trail, and some scout groups that will do some things. The Boy Scout troop put out all the bluebird boxes in the park, and we've got an ROTC group that wants to come out and do some volunteer stuff. And we'll have some groups that come up and pick up litter and on the lake's edge and stuff like that. A lot of the volunteer effort is more for them than for us.
Yeah.
they've got to do so many hours. You got anything we can do today? That kind of deal.
So you found them to really be useful? Or?
Oh yeah, they really are useful. Oh yeah, especially when we had organized cleanup days and stuff like that. They're very useful.
What have been some of your most memorable days here?
Days like good
or bad, either way.
Well, of course, when I've been here for 2 drownings. Those were pretty bad, real bad. One was a 6-year-old boy that fell off the marina, the boat dock at the boat ramp, where they're for loading and unloading. And I was actually here when that happened. Me and a sheriff's deputy were the first ones in the water trying to get him out. The drowning at the beach swimming area, the one I told you about with the lifeguards, I had gone home. I was here that day, but I had already gone home for the day when that happened. Those definitely memorable days. Opening the Cook's Trail was a big day. It was real. I had done a lot of work on that. That was a big day. It was real memorable. I don't know. Some just little things, little successes I can't remember, but I know at the time here we had just some when we had smaller maintenance staff and everybody was good friends and stuff like that. We had some, just a lot of good times. I don't know, I mean, specific, great memorable days, but some of those things we had some good times then. Some of the one thing I remember that was really interesting, when I first started here, we had this earth ball, 6-foot diameter canvas ball. They were real popular in that. I don't know if you would remember, but at one time they were real popular. You could do kids games with them, like whole groups of kids pushed them around, and it was 6-foot diameter earth ball. And the gatekeeper, I forget her name. I was here as the special services coordinator. We had 2 sheriff's deputies here, and the gatekeeper was painting the earth ball. It had the continents on it and everything, and of course the ocean was blue, and you paint the continents. It was on the front porch of the gatehouse, and she was painting the earth ball, and a huge storm came up and blew it across the park. It was rolling like, if it had hit a kid, it would just knock the fool on. Rolling down across the fields at about 30, 40 miles an hour. and straight toward the lake. It didn't hit anybody or anything. It kind of like wedged between two trees right before it went in the lake.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty memorable.
That's quite an image. Was it, I mean, what was inside of it? Was it
Air.
just
I mean,
air?
it was just,
Okay.
you pump it up, it was just a huge inflatable ball. And the ball was like a vinyl ball, but the canvas covering is where you could paint the outline of the earth on it.
I see.
The Boy Scout Jamboree was a lot of fun that weekend. We had a huge Scout Jamboree. Do you ever watch South Park?
Once in a while.
Do you know Jimmy,
Which one is he?
the guy with the crutches?
Oh no, I've never heard.
Jim, he's a guy with crutches. He's makes fun of his handicap. He's a motivational speaker.
Okay, yeah, that sounds really familiar.
And I swear, at the Boy Scout Jamboree, the model for that character was here. He was like an Eagle Scout or a Scout. He said, "I'm not handicapped. I'm handicapable." And there's some of the same,
He literally said that.
Oh yeah, and he gave a really good. He was a great motivational speaker.
Yeah.
But the Scout group was here, and it was thousands, 3,000 or 4,000 Boy Scouts.
Wow.
Camped everywhere over the grounds, little pup tents everywhere. And then that night they had a program, and he was a speaker at the program. He was a great motivational speaker, but he was just like the character on side. We had the same type of crutches and it's a lot of the same things. He was real good, and that big fireworks show afterwards. That was a lot of fun. Folk Festival was another. It used to be a lot bigger when probably Joel Cordell, when he was in charge of our arts division, and it was something Joel was really into. And now the Folk Festival is pretty much done by the North Georgia Folk and Music and Dance Society. At that time, we were more of a partner in producing the Folk Festival, and it was always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was always a big day, a big event.
Nancy mentioned that one time there's an actual fire in the park, and that you were in there putting it out. Is that right?
I think on a grass fire. I think it was before I came. I remember them talking about it, but I didn't. They were putting it out with like rakes and flappers.
Yeah.
I don't remember fighting a fire. I may have. They were kind of. Shoot, I can't remember. I may have done one, but I know. I know that the part. You're talking about when fire trucks came and everything.
Well, I don't know. She had said that it was when the troopers were still the police on horses were still here. She knew that they were involved in it.
Yeah, I think that was before I came, because I remember them putting out a fire, but it was, I can't remember fighting one, but no telling. Not a memorable one, obviously. But I do know they did have one that was pretty bad, and fire truck went as far as it could around the trail trying to do something.
Do you visit the park on your own time?
No. I would though, but I live 35 miles away.
Yeah.
And I have similar recreational activities at my house.
Yeah.
Even when I was not stationed here, I spent a lot of time here as a maintenance superintendent, or I would be here. But, horseback riding, we have better horseback riding at our farm than we down here. Just more. But if I lived closer, I would probably spend a lot of time here, a lot more time. But it's just, we live 35 miles away, and it's just, plus I spend so many hours here.
Yeah.
I'll take that back. I probably about 10 hours a week I'm on time here.
Yeah.
Because time I'm not compensated for, because I've maxed out all my available leave time, so anything over 40 hours I don't get any compensation for.
Oh, I see. You get comp time normally.
Comp time. And right now I'm maxed on comp time, 120 hours. I'm maxed on all the vacation leave I can accrue. It's like 288 hours. And I'm 1 hour short of accruing all the vacation leave I can accrue. I've got 71 hours accrued vacation leave, and you can do 72.
Wow. I imagine you'll fill that
I
up
think it's like
quick.
16 weeks leave if something were to happen without even having to use sick time.
What were your expectations for this job originally when you took it? And I guess you can answer that either for this specific job or for
Well, this one, I
working
mean,
at
I
the
knew
department.
what I was getting into for the first job I took with the department. I don't know. I didn't really have a lot of expectations. I just knew I really wanted to work here. It'd be a great place to work. From where I was, because I worked for the government, so I was familiar with the park.
Yeah.
And it was a new position. They didn't know. They were just starting to build up staffing at the park. So I didn't really have a lot of expectations other than I could be working here and working outside.
Yeah. And what was your job before
It
that?
was called Special Services Coordinator, but it was like a program person.
Okay.
And just another body to do everything. I mean, it was like I said,
Yeah.
pretty much everybody's had to do everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if your husband's in the parks business, you know, I mean, you do everything from pick up litter to write the budget and apply for grants, you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. What was your job previous to that? You said you had been working for the government.
I was a grounds maintenance supervisor at county building and grounds maintenance division. I was doing grounds maintenance for the county for not the parks department, but all the other county-owned buildings.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Okay.
and we didn't do anything out here. The parks department had a maintenance staff.
Yeah. Okay. And well, I don't know if this question works since you didn't really have too many original expectations, but maybe you can find a way to answer it. I mean, how has working at Sandy Creek Park actually compared to what you might have
Well,
thought
for the
it
job I have now, facility supervisor, I had no, I don't know, it's like, I'm not able to be out in the outdoor world and doing fun outdoor things as much as I thought I would be.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I mean, and I don't mean playing, but I mean, you know, grubbing trails and clearing that kind of thing and this stuff that's fun to me. There's a lot more administrative duties and just day-to-day unpleasant management stuff that's just that I ever thought I would have to do.
What kind of stuff? Like,
Oh, just like attending meetings, you know, that kind of thing, attending meetings and just doing the schedule, time, getting everybody's time sheets turned in correctly. It's amazing how much time that takes, you know, just, and, there's, you know, accident reports, incident reports, answering an email
email
from the government within the department, you know, from my boss or from other people.
yeah.
Just, you know, I don't know, that kind of, just general management type duties.
Yeah. Have you been involved sort of more in the political end of things since
No.
you started?
Really never.
What happens like if someone, you know, comes to the park and notices that, you know, there's a tree across a trail or something like that?
They report it to us, and we either take care of it or send in a work request. Matter of fact, I sent in a request a week ago for the main Park Services Division, which is the thing I would have done if I been there, still there. But to clearing the horse trail, we have a lot of down trees from storms.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, we had a lot of storms this year,
Yeah.
and there's, you know, I mean, just. If it's like 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had a real bad hanging pine tree right over an access road to the beach, and I got called our risk management people, and I got permission to call in and get a tree surgeon. From previous jobs, I mean, I know who to call to get that kind of stuff done, because I did it from like 88 to 90 till this February.
Yeah.
That was the kind of things I did as a maintenance, and I got permission to. They said they would pay for it. If I had to pay for it out of our budget, I was going to get it done. But I called safety and risk, and they said yes, call somebody. To get
That
it
was
done.
something where it was actually a contractor that you.
Yeah,
called
call out a
someone
contractor.
outside of this.
Mhm.
I was just thinking about that when you were talking about answering emails. I was wondering if those are occasional emails of.
No, most in-house email.
Yeah. Okay. What's your favorite area of the park?
Favorite area of the park? The trails on the back other side of the lake. Just pretty much anything. Across the lake, the campground's real nice. Just real pretty natural area across the lake. That gets everything from the where the pavement ends. Yeah, this is bigger. Where the pavement ends, that side of the park.
Yeah. Why?
I just it's a real mature hardwood forest. It's a pretty large natural area. That's it's just, to me, it's raw, scenic, beautiful.
What sort of a quality of a natural area do you think this park has overall? You know, as someone who likes to be out in nature.
Oh, it's great. I mean, to be 4 miles from downtown Athens. I mean, it's awesome. There are some areas over there you could think you'd assume you were in the mountains. I mean, for the mature hardwoods and a real pretty forest. A lot of wildflowers in the campground.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's amazing. And you know that one of these days it's going to be a little island when we get, when the area gets built up around it.
I guess I sort of asked you before, you have invasive species problems, but do you see a lot of diversity out there, different kinds of plant life?
Oh yeah, there's one of my favorite trees for some reason, I don't even know why, but buckeye trees. We have a lot of buckeyes here. And there's a large variety. Our woods aren't nearly as bad overtaken as like the nature center. Of course, I think they're in the floodplain. Down there, the woods are really overtaken there by invasive species. Across the lake, it's really a pretty mature hardwood forest. It's got some nice big hardwoods and a lot of wildflowers, a lot of different diverse understory trees.
Do you have anything to add? I've done with actual questions.
I guess I need to go.
Okay. That's what I figured.
Yeah.
It was about time to.
If you think of anything else, you can call me anytime.
Okay.
But like I said, 12 people are starting to go to lunch now and everything. And
I figured you're
start covering some
you
forms.
actually work.
Sundays too, it's kind of slow Sunday mornings, but we really gets busy. 12, 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess after church.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
It's been
Give me
interesting.
just to sign out.